I always constantly long for the days of my youth and childhood before I, was making music. And those times when I was 14 years old and I would go to see Love and Rockets, and it just completely, burned a hole in my head. I just thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And of course I wanted to be Daniel Ash and emulate all those great guitar sounds that he was creating. But I mean, look at him too. I mean, you just reach this point with the guitar, and if you love the instrument as much as you can possibly love it, you almost want to have a respect for it and just give it a rest and move on, because yeah, I think you're always left with this point where if you keep going the direction you're going, you're just going to become a sort of a clown of yourself, and you just get in the cycle of, you find yourself, well, it's easy and you can do it, but how far can you really take what you're doing? We all have this sort of a bubble that we create of the kind of guitar music that suits our personality and fits what we're doing the best. And it's really hard to break out of that mold without being, getting with using too many effects on your computer and just creating just something that's not really very interesting anymore, just for the sake of trying to make it be different. So that's what you're sort of left with after a while. I mean, obviously there's some people in the world that are just going to be able to continue to make music with guitars for their... rest of their life. But for me, I guess I loved the instrument so much at one point that I'm finding it harder and harder to keep using it. Although I still play the guitar. I was playing lap steel last night, but it even kind of makes me nervous to talk about it. I find I talk fast when I talk about the guitar, and I talk slow when I talk about real life. The way we think about it is we always wanted to just make music that we wanted to listen to, because we found in general that it was very hard to find music that we liked, that was slow enough, that was mellow enough, that was quiet enough. In general, we find it's hard to find records that you can put on that are just completely narcoleptic all the way through the record. Those are our favorite records of all times. It's just the very quiet, mellow records. So in the early days, that's what we wanted to create. But then at the same time, it's really hard to look back on your music with any sort of reverence and retrospect for me. I don't feel like I can be very analytical about it, because it quite confuses me. I mean, we did what we did, and we went about it the best way we could, and obviously we're trying to do something different, but also that we like, not to just do something different to say, oh, we're trying something different, like Brian Eno tried something different, or anyone tries something different as you get older. But for us, because we love listening to classical music, it seems that we are going more and more in this direction. Maybe the Dead Texan is too, because I'm starting to play a lot more piano now. And it's fun. It's fun to do things that you're not really comfortable doing. You know, that's what life's all about, trying to do something different that makes you feel good. The visuals it was almost like a godsend meeting Christina. I mean, inspiration is a very, very difficult thing to find. And through doing soundtrack music on the side for years, I always found it was the easiest thing in the world was creating sound to go along with the beautiful piece of visual. I mean, I know it's the most cliche thing in the world to say that the symbiotic relationship between sound and visual should be together, but it's so obvious that they should. And so when I met Christina and we started working on things together, it was just incredibly easy. And she's got a really good eye for things, and she also let me dabble in the video world a little bit, so I created some of the animations. But it was just a perfect connection. Especially I enjoyed it because she's not really a musician, and I'm not really a video artist. And so I found it was a lot easier to work than, per se, to meeting a new musician, which to me it's just, there's no one in the world I really want to work with. But for her, it was just perfect. Yeah, it was amazing, because when you look at the films, for me, I mean, it's strange, but they fit really good together. I don't normally like to talk about, to say something I'm doing is particularly good. I mean, it's okay, but I just think that you can really see the images and the sound really seem to fit like a glove together, I think. It was just kind of a happy accident, I suppose. Stars the Lid can be quite dysfunctional in a sense, but it works. It will always be Brian and me and Luke for sure. I mean, we've been doing this for so long, and you know, we're such good friends that you know, and until one of us die, I can always see us at least working on something, in some form or capacity together. Because, you know, it's quite easy.
How does the geographical separation
it's never really affected us at all. Even when we lived in Austin, we traded tapes almost through the mail. The only time we really ever play together physically is when we're meeting to work on recordings, or when we're rehearsing for like some concerts, and it works out fine. We're not really in a hurry anymore to put out releases. I guess we reached a point after Tired Sounds where we both just felt like we looked back at the past few years, and we felt like we were cranking out way too much material. And I think it was just a general observation towards just music world in general. It seems that we all can have an inflated sense of ourselves, and we think from a few scat reviews that the whole world just really is aching to hear everyone's next release. And so I think we tend to put out way too much material. Not just necessarily us, but just everyone in general. I think there needs to be more quality control, especially for us. So we want to just, you know, take our time until we just think that's the most perfect record possible. Which is why we still haven't put out another record, because, well, we don't really see the rush. As the music is slow, so are we. Very fortunate to be with Cranky and have supportive people like them to put out our music, but at the same time we're always we just could never imagine even having a label, because most of the music we like, you know, are by a bunch of people that are dead, because we just don't really listen to a lot of new music. So to say it's just overpopulation, you know, overpopulation with anything. There's going to be more of everything: more cars, more cigarettes, more CDs, more shoes. It's just gonna happen. But I guess I just wish that, in general, we could all slow down and just stop cranking out so much material. And I'll be the first one to stop. I would almost give up music in general, just to make a statement.
This crowd is, like I said, this crowd is bananas, man.
I have lots and lots of music, you know, in my collection that I've never released, but I guess I'm just sort of torn with releasing it. I don't really see the urgency. I'm not. I mean, it's flattering when people come and they like what you're doing, but at the same time, I'm sort of ambivalent about it. I also find it sort of awkward and strange, and it's it's very personal what you do, and then you throw it out there, and you're not really sure how you want people to react to it. And sometimes it's even strange when people give you compliments. For me, I have a really hard time with compliments, because I see so many flaws in what I do. Like last night, for me, I just thought the show was pretty horrible. But people were there and they were having a good time. That's the thing. And everything is so subjective. So, yeah, I think it's great that they had a good time, but it doesn't really make me feel any better when they come up and tell you that you're good when everything sounds so bad in your ears, All quiet music, I think the misconception is they think because it's quiet, it's a lot easier to work with and put together, but I always feel that the quieter the music, the nuances are much more difficult to hide and put away. But at this point, I don't really care. People are going to think what they think, and even the people that hate me, I probably can agree with some of the reasons they hate me. It's really just too overwhelming for me to say. Even just having this interview, I just sound like a babbling fool, I think.
No, you're fine. You sound great. For a while, you were getting. Do you still get same questions asked over and over again of what's your gear setup or things
Sure.
like that, or?
Sure. That's more my own neuroses. I really hate putting anything up on the website that's just sort of the typical web, name, date of birth, gear setup, because people, more than anything, I can think, I get 5 or 10 mails a month. People just want to know the gear setup, and I don't even respond anymore, because I guess I just think if that's all if they think it's that easy, it's. But at the same time, I don't blame them, because when I was young, I wanted to know Daniel Ash's guitar setup too, but. It's just not that simple. And I just don't like to be obvious about anything. And I know that maybe I'm being kind of pig-headed about it. And the basic form of a website is just to have some basic information for people that are fans to come to, so maybe I should lighten up and put some simple things on the site. But it is my site, and if they want to do their own site, they can do their own site too. That's the thing about that. People take it all so personally.
Like I said, it's described as bananas, man. It's like a fruit basket. You got coconuts, you got bananas, you got a couple, sour grapes. But, it's a hell of a crowd.
I understand that basic feeling of being moved by something, whether it doesn't matter if it's music, film, video, whatever. I mean, I empathize with him, but I don't really know what to say. Just as much as a great record, like if I was to go up to Ennio Morricone and said, you know, The Invisible Woman, man, it changed my life. You know, what's he gonna say? Well, it changed mine too. You know, it's. I mean, what do you say? You want to express, and I think people like him or whoever who have been making this kind of music, they understand in a sense what they're doing can, you know, it affects people, and it can change their lives in strange ways, because you know, life is so incredibly difficult, and having just something simple to transcend you and to make you feel better for an hour, for 10 minutes, however long you're listening to this music, that's a beautiful thing.